The Ontario Liberal gas plant scandal continues to heat up, as it were. Over $1 billion of taxpayers' money wasted. And now the latest police allegations that former Premier Dalton McGuinty's chief of staff, David Livingstone, brought in an outsider to cover up their mistakes by wiping the hard drives of 24 staffers in the Premier's office. Now, just how big a deal is this latest development? Here's a special report from Sun News contributor Rebecca Thompson.
For the first time in Ontario's history, a Liberal Premier's top aide could face time in the clink for criminal breach of trust. Police documents reveal that David Livingstone allegedly ordered a wipe of 24 hard drives in the Premier's office in the midst of a $1 billion scandal. Police are investigating whether Liberals allegedly illegally covered up their decision to scrap 2 gas plants to avoid losing ridings to political opponents. This all dates back to before the 2011 Ontario election, when the Liberals made the political call to scrap 2 partially built gas plant projects in vote-rich suburban Toronto. After months of opposition outrage, former Premier Dalton McGuinty lowballed the total cost of scrapping these 2 plants at $230 million. But the total figure later rang in at over $1 billion. Did the Liberals know all along that it would cost this much? And did they have a vested interest in hiding the truth? Opposition efforts to seek out the facts fell flat after Premier Dalton McGuinty abruptly announced his resignation. But after the crowning of longtime Liberal Kathleen Wynne, opposition succeeded in cross-examining dozens of Liberals with ties to the scandal. Premiers Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne took the stand in a legislative committee, as did top aides including Laura Miller, Chris Morley, Jameson Steve, Sean Mullen, and David Livingstone, as well as former Energy Minister Chris Bentley and his top aide Craig McClellan. The scandal took a turn when Ontario's Information and Privacy Commissioner Anne Cavoukian publicly castigated the Liberals for destroying email records. The scathing revelations led to a police investigation into a potential cover-up. Now, in a state of serious damage control, Premier Wynne is fending off accusations she had anything to do with this wipe of 24 hard drives. There are many unanswered questions about why David Livingstone allegedly arranged for another staffer's techie boyfriend, Peter Feist, to access computers in Kathleen Wynne's office. None of it passes the smell test for the Ontario Progressive Conservatives, who tie Wynne to the scandal through her signature on gas plant cancellation documents and her role as co-chair of the Liberal election campaign in 2011 when the decision was made. Kathleen Wynne remains an unelected premier who will have to face the Ontario electorate in an election that could happen this year.
Ooh, that was good. How bad and big can this become?
Well, this is already the largest scandal in Ontario's history, according to the Ontario PCs, and probably to most people who live in Ontario. It could become huge because what we could see, if these allegations ring true, is that the top aide to the Premier, the former Premier, could actually land behind jail because of this criminal breach of trust that is the alleged criminal charge against him.
The Liberals are extremely good at obfuscation of smokescreens. Let me throw this out there. Do you think it's at all possible that another leading politician at the municipal level might be involved with the police and charges in the next week or two, thus partially obscuring what's going on provincially? You know exactly who I'm talking about?
Well, we've seen it over the past year and a half. This gas plant scandal has been taking place since the spring of 2012, and you know, we've seen it off the front pages of the newspapers, even though it is actually quite big. Of course, there are other issues that are quickly replacing, or can quickly replace, or we've seen quickly replace this mega scandal, because, you know, there's other media outlets that are, you know, believe that other scandals maybe are more lucrative to put on the front pages.
Yesterday, I mean, let's be quite explicit here. Yesterday, sitting in the office, and we're monitoring everything because it's what we do, and one of our senior producers was actually shouting because, and he's not even that political, the CBC website, half an hour after this story broke, and this is a massive story, whatever your politics are, it's a massive story, it wasn't on their website. They said, I think there was a picture of a skater on the web. They weren't covering it. Now, they did eventually, but there are some people who simply do not want their friends in high places, Kathleen Wynne, Dalton McGuinty to face a hostile question, a hostile media, hostile politicians.
Absolutely. If you look at Alberta, I mean, Premier Alison Redford stepped down over $45,000 of her. This is $1 billion, $870 million more than what Dalton McGuinty would admit this was going to cost.
And allegedly illegal. I mean, what she did was arguably immoral, certainly wrong, but not, I would say, illegal. What's happening in Ontario, if it's true, is illegal at many, many levels.
Yeah, 2012, the opposition clearly asks, release all of your records, release all of your emails into the cancellation of these 2 gas plants.
Yeah.
Why is it a year and a half later and it takes a police investigation? It takes newspapers going to the judge to ask for the police records to come out to actually get to the point where we know what's going on. And we still don't know all of this.
Exactly.
There's going to be much more to this story.
And we have to remind you that the OPP, the Liberals have been in power for a long time now. The culture of the law, of policing, of governance in the province of Ontario is Liberal. People in senior positions within the OPP, they're not Conservative appointees. I'm not saying they're particularly political, but this is not irrelevant. They're people who the Liberals did not object to. So it's not as though we have the OPP saying, let's try and get the Liberals. That's simply not what is happening.
No, we've seen the Liberals as a very power-hungry party for the past 10 years. They came into power lying about a tax 10 years ago, the health tax that they introduced, saying that they wouldn't increase taxes and then immediately introduced a health tax. We've seen them be involved in several scandals, including the Air Orange ambulance scandal, which there's still a police investigation behind. And then we see them trying to desperately save their political behinds by canceling these 2 gas plants. And now what it looks like, lying about covering up all of the records about how they were involved, whether or not they were part of the negotiations to cancel these, and who exactly was involved, and whether or not they knew the total costs. And the other thing is that Premier Wynne has been very clear that she hasn't been part of the deletion of any records, that she didn't direct the deletion of records. However, we know that when there is a transition between one premier and another, there's going to be some backroom discussions. And there's no doubt that there were backroom discussions about how the gravity of the situation, and we'll never really know what these backroom discussions were.
We won't, but I've been interviewing Kathleen Wynne for years now, my old show and on this, since as soon as she entered politics. She's a highly intelligent woman, very controlling person. I'm not even saying that in a pejorative way. She wants to know what is going on. The idea, I'm sorry, I have to say this, but the idea that someone who can get to that position through her own intelligence and ambition, but has no idea what might be going on elsewhere, and that Dalton McGuinty has no idea what is going on. I may be bald, but I'm not stupid. And I think there are so many questions to be asked, the answers haven't been given. And I fear, though, that with the CBC and the Toronto Star being so influential, this won't get the exposure it deserves. And it could well be, could it be, that the Liberals could even win an election?
Well, I sure hope not. The Ontario Liberals are right now in a minority government. Yep. We don't know if there's going to be an election this
spring.
The NDP
aren't saying much, are they?
They certainly aren't. Andrea Horwath has been relatively quiet and subdued on all of it.
I can tell you one thing, we will not keep quiet here. We will keep on pushing this because that's what we're here to do, to make sure the truth gets out there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.